Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to Cybersix, the final 3 episodes, 11 through 13. So yeah, we are finishing this series today. And that was kind of the plan once I started doing these in kind of bunches. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna finish these all at once. And it's not that I'm not enjoying the series and would rather go slow. I honestly would, but the reason why I do kind of want to get through these is because of what I have next in this slot, which I'll get to in a moment. But because of that, I want to kind of get to finishing this up. Now, since this is only one season, and again, I believe it was canceled, because of that, I don't know how well this is actually going to end. If it was canceled well enough in advance, like they knew they were only going to get one season, they might be able to wrap it up well enough. But it might feel rushed. In fact, it probably will. And that's what I'm worried about. But if they didn't even know until like afterwards that it was only going to be one season, then it might not even get a proper wrap up. I don't know. Either way, I'm hoping that it does end off well. I don't know anything about what to expect from these last 3 episodes. But let's talk overall real quick. So, when I first heard of this series years ago now, it was because of the opening. I had seen the opening on a couple of like best cartoon openings of all time lists. And a couple of the people I watched, the ones who went into like why they chose these openings, a couple of them even said, like, I've never even seen the show. But the opening is so good. The song is so good. The visuals are just that good. It gets you invested in it, even if you haven't seen it. And I agree with that. It's one of those openings that is just that damn good to where it's like, even if you haven't seen it, even if you're not watching it, you like are into it. You feel immersed in the opening. And there's plenty of openings out there like that, both for cartoons and anime. So it's not like it's the only time this has ever been done, but for a series that came out when it did, it's really groundbreaking in terms of its opening. Because openings for cartoons from the early 2000s and back, going back to the 90s, 80s, so on, the openings weren't that great. Like, even if you enjoyed the song, even if you thought it was kind of cool, when you compare them to openings nowadays, they leave a lot to be desired. And that's not to say every opening nowadays is great, by extension, but still. A lot of them are very basic. A lot of them have instrumental songs or very simple themes that don't really say much. The visuals are just cool action shots, and to a degree, Cybersix's opening visuals are some pretty cool action shots. But when it's balanced by the song, which isn't an action-based song, like it's this mysterious, cool theme that centers around the concept of love, which when you're seeing this like kick-ass female superhero beating down on these enemies and stuff, and seeing these like gargoyles shooting blasts of wind, this giant snail coming from the water, it's like the difference between them, between the theme and the visuals, usually that can hurt an opening. But in this case, it actually lends itself to it exceptionally well. I don't know what it is about it, but it's like you can see it in Cybersix's face in the opening, and the way she looks, the way she moves, everything. It's like you believe that this is her philosophy, that love and protection and being there for others is what she is about. And the moments in the opening you see where like she's chatting with Lucas and all of that, it's like, yeah, you get this, even though it's like you're not fully aware, if you haven't watched the show, that that would be her, even though you can probably guess. When I watched, like for a long time, I didn't know because I didn't know the cross-dressing thing was a part of this until I started watching. So I didn't know that was her. But even so, it's like I get this sense of camaraderie, of just togetherness between these characters, which is definitely shown in the series, that they have a great bond, a good friendship, and definitely, at least on Cybersix's part, she likes him. It's clear. And he likes Cybersix, not knowing it's Adrian, but still, yeah. Um, the point is, the opening, even though it seems like it's like the theme and the visuals are going against each other, they're actually blending in a very surprising way that almost seems impossible. And I really like that. But even outside of the opening and theme, it's like this series has really stood its ground on its own as well. Aside from the visuals for the time being very well done, aside from the good voice acting from some really good voice actors like Kathy Weslock, it's just really high quality. Like, the writing is good, the conflicts are good. It actually delves into some real legitimate stuff with its characters. Um, and it feels like that if this could have had a more full release, if this could have had like 3, 4 seasons, maybe 5, it could have been it could have fought for one of the best cartoons of its time. Unfortunately, with its limited appeal, because it probably didn't have a huge amount of advertising and everything, it probably wasn't, it just didn't end up being this big show. And most people never even heard of it until they start like getting into all of this stuff on YouTube with all these cartoon content creators, and they start hearing about the theme, they check out the theme, and they start hearing about it that way. And I just wish this was a bigger thing. And granted, the fandom I have seen for it are very passionate for it, which is awesome. I've seen some fantastic fan art, for example. And there's some videos I found on YouTube that I plan on checking out after I finish this up, because I didn't want spoilers. But it shows that this kind of gained a small cult following in a way. And I really like that. It's actually become something to a lot of hardcore animation fans. And I just really hope that more people can discover it and get into it. But overall, this series has just really impressed me in a lot of ways. You guys know I drop a lot of shows on this channel. I drop a lot of shows, and a lot of the times it's just because it's not my kind of thing, whether I'm just not enjoying it or it actually does something that I really don't like. But I drop a lot. So for me to finish any show proves that the show either means a lot to me, or, well, I mean, in a couple of cases, like with Pop Team Epic, it's like such a train wreck that I just can't look away. But in serious, most of the shows that I finish on this channel nowadays are like, yeah, I love the show. My Hero Academia, Carol and Tuesday. Shows like that I just really legitimately adore. So it's like, when I finish a show on this channel, it does kind of mean something at this point. Kind of sucks that it does. Kind of sucks that I drop as many shows as I do. I wish I didn't, but yeah. I've gone over all that before. But yeah, it's just like, that shows you how into this show I am. That I love it that much that I'm really willing to finish watching it, and I'm excited to continue watching every time. It's not even one of those shows where I'm wanting to put it off. I'm actually really excited to keep getting into it. But yeah, so like I said, we have 3 episodes left, and I don't know anything about where these are going to go. If we are going to rush the final, I'm assuming that these first 2 episodes are probably going to focus more on wrapping things up with the minions, with the bratty little kid and the more competent minion, the more competent clone that was kind of working for him, but has mostly been in the background a lot. He barely is in there, let's be honest. We're probably going to wrap up things with them, maybe have one or two more monsters. And then the final episode, if we are going to wrap things up, would probably focus on finally taking on the father. Finally taking him on, and he's probably going to boost himself somehow or something like that. I don't know if Lucas will find out. If he will, it'll be in the final episode. If not, I'm going to be admittedly disappointed, but considering, again, that this was, I believe, canceled and everything that went along with it, and yeah, it's not surprising. I really want this to at least end in a satisfying way, to where it's at least like, to where it's at a point where it's not like, for example, Spice and Wolf, the anime Spice and Wolf, the 2nd season ends off kind of assuming there's going to be more, and there never was. There was never a 3rd season or something, but the 2nd season didn't like come to a satisfactory conclusion. It didn't wrap everything up. It kind of left a few points hanging, and the fact that there isn't a 3rd season, that's why it's so bothersome. But I'm hoping at least this wraps it up in a satisfying way to where I can enjoy it. But now, as for talking about what is going to be replacing this, I will mention this again at the end, but I'll mention it here first. So, one of the reasons, as I mentioned, I'm doing these last 3 episodes all as one, and I've been kind of bunching these episodes up, is because the next show on this slot is She-Ra Season 3. And I'll be honest, Season 4, sorry, not Season 3. And I'll be honest, I've been really missing She-Ra after what happened in Season 3 and with Angela's death, or Angela, or however you want to specifically say it. Angela, either. I think it's supposed to be Angela, because angelic. Either way, after her death and everything, and I know Glimmer becomes queen, I do know about that. And I think Season 5, which is supposed to be the final season, is going to be coming out soonish, or maybe it's already out, I don't know. But I really want to get back into that, because it's been a bit, and I really love the show. We're definitely heading towards some big things with it, too, with Horde Prime, and I really can't wait for that to come to a head. But yeah, I'm very excited to get back to that. That will be replacing Cybersix right away. So as soon as I can, after putting this up and everything, uploading this reaction, I will change the channel banner to reflect She-Ra. And I'll probably have Glimmer as the character representative because, best girl. Mermista's a close second, but Glimmer is still best girl. I really hope there's some good Mermista stuff in this next season, though. Like, I really wish she had more focus because she's so fantastic. But moving on. So yeah. Otherwise, we're just going to get to these final 3 episodes of Cybersix and hope for the best. Hope for a good ending. I want some level of closure. So, when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, Everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episodes. So that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. Okay, and we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. Okay, so it's kind of implied at the end that she did escape. Lucas smiled when he saw that the light was on in her window and everything. So it is implied that she did manage to escape. But it's just like a reunion and stuff isn't shown and everything, and it's just... And at the end, it kind of leaves it open with showing that Jose, of course, did get out and he survived. It kind of makes you think that Jose would have taken over as the main villain if this had continued, which is almost kind of silly considering how inept he is. But yeah. So I was looking online as well, because I want in between recording the reaction and this, and I found out that the animated series obviously leaves a lot out. There's a lot of information that's left out. There's some things that are just outright changed, of course. So let me note some of the differences. What I'm reading here is obviously, as we've already known, in the comics, Cybersix, like in a similar way to vampires, sucks the sustenance from the neck of those she hunts. Basically, that's what it says here of her enemies. She makes a wound in the neck and then drinks it like that. And obviously, in this animated series, there's the vials. In the comics, apparently her outfit was taken from a techno prostitute. That's interesting, I guess. And in the animated series, the origin is never mentioned. There's also some mature story elements that this says was left out of the series. Apparently, there's something in the comics about Jose's sexuality. Like, is he gay or something? I mean, nothing wrong with a person being gay, or even if it's a bad guy character, but it's like, is that what is it going for? I don't know exactly what it means. But it also mentions Von Richter's past is left out, and specific events of Cybersix's youth are not revealed. There's some stuff that are suggested, like kind of briefly glimpsed over in the dialogue, flashbacks, visual clues, that kind of stuff. But nothing is actually directly said. Now here's the more interesting part. Here is the official description of the series that I'm seeing here, the official plot description. Von Richter is a surviving member of the Schutzstaffel in World War II. Von Richter is literally a fucking Nazi. Because if you don't know what the Schutzstaffel were, they were a paramilitary organization who worked for Hitler in World War II. Von Richter is a literal Nazi. He works on experiments in South America creating the Cyber series, artificial humanoids with super strength and agility. The 5,000 original Cybers became servants, mimicked human emotions and making their will. When they disobey orders, Richter orders them all to be destroyed. After the death of Cyber 29, Data 7, Richter transfers his brain into the body of a Panther. Or Data 7's brain, rather. I don't know why I emphasized his there. Transfers Data 7's brain into the body of Panther. We did know that. Cybersix is one of the survivors who escapes and arrives in the city of Meridiana. She disguises herself as schoolteacher Adrian Seidelman after the real one is killed in a car. That's something we didn't know, too. That's something that's not in the animated series. The real Adrian Seidelman is killed in a car wreck and she takes his place. That's not in the animated series. In fact, in the cartoon, it kind of seems like Adrian Seidelman is just a name she takes, just a identity she pretends to be. While saving the city from Richter's creation, Cybersix defeats Frankenstein-like monsters called Fixed Ideas, also known as Technos, and drinks green sustenance liquids in order to survive. Along the way, she meets an orphan boy, Julian, Richter's cloned son, Jose, and high school teacher, Lucas Amato. Julian was notable in the series, in the animated series, but not as big. Like, honestly, I would argue that Laurie was a bigger character. But yeah, so there were notable differences. As for what it says specifically on the series, it says the animated series debuted in Canada and Argentina on September 6, 1999, and was subsequently dubbed for French, Polish, Japanese, Malaysian, and Thai. It was animated by Tokyo Movie Shinsa, and NOA, produced by Hervé Bedard, Toshihiko Masuda, and Koji Takeuchi, with storyboards by Atsuko Tanaka, Hiroki Oyama, and Nobuo Tomizawa, and Kazuhida Tominaga, and written by Catherine Gerchik? I guess, maybe? I don't know. I probably mispronounced that. Carlos Magila, and Carlos Trillo. The series was composed by Robbie Finkel, and character designs were overseen by Teiichi Takeguchi. The show was aimed at children by toning down the comics' darker themes. They were still in there, but definitely I could see how they could be darker in the comics. 2 seasons were originally planned, but it was canceled after the first due to conflicts between production studios. Okay, so yeah, as I was saying, it was canceled. There were originally going to be 2 seasons. I wonder how the second season would have gone. And if it was canceled after the first, I assume that means that, yeah, this is how the first season was supposed to end, and that Jose being alive at the end was going to tie into the second season, and he would end up becoming the main villain. I wonder how that would have ended up going down. The title sequence and closing credits featured music composed by Finkel and lyrics written by Robert Olivier, which were sung by jazz vocalist Coral Egan. On April 28, 2001, Cybersix won special mention for the Best Science Fiction Program at the Pulcinella Awards in Italy for that year's competition. The series was licensed to DVD by Discotek Media on August 26, 2014. The box set features commentary by Kathy Wesluck and Brady Hartel on episodes 1 and 13. So, yeah. How did this end for me? Well, yes, it's clear by Jose being at the end and having him escaped and all that there was clear intent for a season 2. And now we know for sure there was intent for a season 2. It sucks that it got canceled. It was so fucking good. This was a legitimately great series. Not the best. Not the best. I wouldn't put it on my top 10. Especially since shows like Gravity Falls wouldn't be on my top 10. Or at least aren't currently. Sure. But yeah, it's like, it's really damn good, especially for its time. And if it weren't for the entire part about Jose surviving and getting away and the little hint at him coming back at the end, like, that would have been a very satisfying ending. Everything, all these plot threads come to a head except for Jose. Von Richter is defeated and killed. Being betrayed by everyone, by Jose and his own creations. Lucas and even Laurie both find out that Adrian and Cybersix are the same person. Cybersix survives, and she and Lucas had admitted and acknowledged their love for each other and even shared a kiss, which, yeah, that's my thumbnail. Overall, it was just a really satisfying way. The threat was bigger than ever. The stakes seemed higher. The intensity of the episode itself was much more grand than it had been in previous episodes. This felt like a proper finale. Again, if it weren't for Jose, this would have been a perfect series finale for this. Having Jose still be there in the end, have survived, and obviously planned for him to come back as the major villain in season 2, that's the only thing that keeps it from being a perfect series finale and makes it still feel like, yeah, this was clearly a season finale. There's meant to be more. But I really hope that one day maybe this can be brought back in some way, either through a reboot or hell, even just some kind of like movie continuation that gives like one last big finale to it. I would love that. I am so glad I watched this. As I said in the pre-thoughts, I only wanted to see this because the opening is so badass. The opening is so cool, so well done, that I wanted to see a series simply because of that. I didn't know what the series was going to be about. And I'm so glad I checked it out. Like, I legitimately care for these characters. And yes, mind you, that I tend to be someone who does tend to care for a lot of fictional characters very often. It's something I've always gone through. I connect and form these emotional connections to fictional characters to where I do hold them like in high regard. I care about them. And I think a lot of people do, even if they don't always admit it. A lot of people like really connect to these characters and they really do care and they really do want the best for them. Even though, yeah, we acknowledge they're fictional characters. We acknowledge that they're not real. And that like we're like wasting our breath when we get scared for them and warn them and shit, and we understand that it's just fiction, but at the same time it's like that's what the creators of these shows, these movies, shows, comics, mangas, games, etc., that's what they're aiming for. They want to blur the line between fiction and reality. They want to make you immersed so much that you connect with these characters because it sells the story. It sells the story and makes it have an impact on you. It makes you want to see more. It makes you, in all honesty, it makes you pay for it. It's marketing. It's both marketing and just general like writing and character design. That's what any creator should hope to do with their characters. Allow the audience to form that connection so that they are invested, that they are immersed. And I definitely felt that with this series, even though it was only 13 episodes, and even though there were a lot of things that were left in the dark and not fully explained all the way through, I cared for these characters. I care for Cybersix. I care for Julian. I care for, hell, even to a point, Lori, and definitely Lucas. I care for these characters and I want the best for them. Like, it's kind of stereotypical, almost to a silly degree, at the end when you see Lucas see that her light's on and all, and it kind of, obviously telling us that she survived. That's a very stereotypical thing to do. But I was very happy seeing him smile like that. Seeing him smile, realizing she's still alive, that she survived. That, it warmed my heart. Because I care for these characters. And their relationship as well, their romantic relationship, I believe it was well handled. It was very well paced and it felt natural. So it's like, yeah, it just works. I'm really surprised that she showed herself to Lori like that. was interesting. But again, as I stated in the reaction, Lori did have kind of a character impact, and we do know that there was the entire thing, the entire episode that centered around her um, kind of going after Adrian and finding out about Cybersix through that and everything. So yeah, it makes sense in context with the characters and story. Um, Now this says there's a box set. I want to look this up real quick. I want to see if I can find that on eBay. I buy everything off of eBay. Yeah, no, the complete series DVD is on eBay. You could buy VHSs for it. Damn. But yeah, there is a official DVD for 40 bucks on eBay. It also has the comics on it, which I guess all things considered makes sense. Some of these comic covers are pretty risque. Like, holy crap. Like, there's one that basically just shows Lucas holding Cybersix, and both are completely naked. Like, they're sitting on a bed completely naked, holding each other. There's one that just shows her completely topless, covering her breasts. Looks like she's in pain or something. I don't know. Wow, it is a more mature series. That was made more child friendly and everything. Looks like her outfit even like generally in the comics showed off her cleavage pretty extensively. So yeah, that's interesting. Hmm. Um, Either way, it's like, yeah, I would love like some kind of reboot or movie continuation or just something. It's probably not going to happen, especially this long after. Um, but still, it's like I would love to see this kind of make a comeback. It was so good, and at least, at the very least, I would love to see people learn about it. More people see it because it's worth seeing. It is worth seeing. It is good. And even if it's not your favorite, it's still good. It's still worth it. So, yeah. Let me just check. I want to see the price difference on Amazon for it. Uh it looks pretty much the same. There's one that's a little cheaper, but it's used. Like that one looks like with shipping and tax, it's about 40, and that's with shipping and tax. Yeah, about that. But yeah, it's over now. Um, I like these episodes. I like the circus episode. That was really just kind of fun and interesting. It was really well handled. And then, of course, you had the episode with the assassin, which I really like that one as well. And I like how the assassin gave her life in the end to save Cybersix after, well, Cybersix showed that kind of kindness and everything to save her, even though Griselda was hunting her down in the first place. And then, of course, the finale was, again, really phenomenal, honestly. It was the perfect finale for this. Again, save for Jose surviving and kind of hinting towards season two. um, but yeah, overall, I'm really, really pleased with how this turned out. I'm really glad to have gotten through the entire series. I'm really glad. I'm just really glad that I got into it as much as I did. And yeah, thank you all for joining me on this ride. Um, as I said in the pre-thoughts, its replacement in this slot will be She-Ra. We will be continuing on with that from where we left off. And yeah, hopefully that continues to be as great as it has been. So yeah, for the time being, thank you all so much for tuning in. And for now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.